We don't have the R&D. We don't have the technology. So we get squeezed by China. We get squeezed by Russia. We get squeezed by America. China, we have a $102 billion trade deficit and we are trying to stop it. 3 years back, it was $88 billion, then it became $90 billion, now it's $102 billion. So in spite of whatever the government has tried, we are importing more and more from there. And we are importing low technology as well as high technology. So we are importing Patang ka Manjha, we are importing Ganesh Murti, we are importing Diwali lights and so on, Pichkari, and APIs and components for automobiles and components for electronics, etc. So they are in high technology as well as in low technology and they're beating us, So we have got dependent on them. Many factories have Chinese machinery. We need Chinese engineers to come. And when after Galwan, we stopped giving visas, the businessmen were crying, saying we are not able to run our factories properly until you give them visas. So we have become heavily dependent on that. Russia, we are heavily dependent on because some of our critical equipment, defense, S-400 missiles, BrahMos missiles, Sukhoi aircrafts, they are coming from there. So we cannot antagonize them. We cannot antagonize America because from 2005, we have fallen into the American strategic part. We are getting C-17 transport aircraft, we are getting helicopters, we are getting guns, etc. So we can't antagonize it. And why is that? Because we are weak in R&D. Why are we weak in R&D? 2 reasons. We are a very feudal country where orders come from above and we follow. Whereas research environment requires questioning. You have to question the existing knowledge. If you question the existing knowledge, new knowledge will develop, right? So I wrote a piece in the Tribune, I think it was 2017 or something like that. What do we teach in JNU and what do our students learn? So I said we teach that Amartya Sen is not the last word. You have to critique Amartya Sen for economics to advance. You have to critique Einstein for physics to advance. If you say that Einstein is the last word, then physics will stop advancing, right? So you have to learn to critique existing knowledge. And then research will take place. So dissent is the essence of higher education. But in our institutions of higher education, we treat dissent as a malaise to be eliminated. Now, how will research take place? So the research environment is very weak because we are a very feudal country. Second is, we are not spending enough on R&D. We spend 0.65% of GDP on R&D. China spends 3%. America spends 3%. And China's 5 times bigger, America's 20 times bigger. So they're spending 22 times and 100 times more on R&D than we are spending.
What would you pull the funds out of to spend on R&D?
No, so coming to that. So the point is that because they are spending so much more, they are the manufacturing hub of the world. And that's why America is the dominant power in technology, right? We are very minor. I mean, for instance, on AI, which we were discussing, the US is planning to spend about $800 billion on AI. China is planning to spend $80 billion. And we are planning to spend $1 or $2 billion. You can see the scale. And therefore, all the large learning models are coming from the US, or the large learning model with DeepSeek, etc. has come from China. But where is our large learning model? We haven't done it.
I'll have to
so
pause
now the funds.
I'll have to pause you there, sir. So what I've gathered from our conversation until this point is that you think we're screwed.
We are in deep trouble.
But there's nothing good that's happened. Let me also mention one more thing. Most people who are on this show, I'd say 90% of the people on this show and 90% of Indians I meet are overly optimistic about India. So I love opinions and conversations like this where you're on the other end of the spectrum, and we hear less of this in India nowadays. I wonder if you still get called to news debates to float these opinions. I don't think they would invite you because even the news is kind of echoing the same optimism, which according to people like yourself in many cases is false. But are you not optimistic about anything about the direction in which India is going?
Okay, so first point is 90% of Indians don't know. They're not optimistic. We are talking about the upper classes who are optimistic, right? Because the government feeds data, to say that India is doing very well, right? But India is not doing that well. I mean, you can see that during tariffs. We were absolutely quiet. We did not take on Trump. Why? Because we are worried about Trump, I'm not saying that Abel mujhe maar, but we could have been more firm, but we can't because we are so heavily dependent. Why is a large nation so heavily dependent on another nation? China is not heavily dependent. They matched them, right? We should have also been in that position. if we are not in a position to match China, Russia, and the US, we'll always be left behind. Look at the free trade agreements that we are signing. All the free trade agreements have benefited other nations and much less us. Okay, so whether you look at the one with Japan, Korea, Australia, Southeast Asia, their exports to India increased. Our exports didn't increase so much, so our trade deficit increased. And why? Because R&D. Trade requires R&D. Trade requires you to be up on what you're doing. Trade requires that you have to have your good logistics. Like China has a massive network of very high-speed trains. And our high-speed train, we are trying to build since 2014 and yet not there. So my point is that we have to look ahead. Any great nation must depend on itself. We are not able to depend on ourselves. We are dependent on others. So to become great, we have to have technology. If we don't have technology, today globalization means technology. The one who has technology will dominate over others.
Gotcha.
Right? China does it. Why are we not able to do R&D?